Welcome back to Talking Business as Usual. You know, we all do it, probably dozens of times a week. Tap a credit card to buy a coffee, pay for groceries, or grab a train ticket. It feels completely instant, almost like magic. But today, we're going to peel back the curtain on that deceptively simple tap and reveal the massive, invisible machine that powers our entire global economy. Behind this simple, iconic logo is an invisible engine that processes trillions upon trillions of dollars, connecting thousands of banks with millions of merchants all across the globe. You know, it's one of those things that's so reliable, we just take it for granted, right? But the story of how it all works is absolutely fascinating. So, how does it all actually work? Let's dive in.
All right, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll explore the world behind that simple top. Then, we'll follow the money trail on a typical purchase to see who gets paid what. After that, we'll uncover the hidden growth engine that's really changing these companies, look at the investment case for this powerful duopoly, and finally, we'll size up the very real threats aiming to take their throne.
Okay, first up, let's just try to wrap our heads around the sheer scale here. We're talking about the financial bridges that connect pretty much every corner of the modern economy, from the tiniest little street vendor all the way up to the biggest multinational corporations. So, 150 million merchants, that number right there, that's the secret sauce. It's what's called the network effect. Think about it. The more stores that accept Visa, the more useful that Visa card is to you. And the more people like you who have Visa cards, the more essential it is for every store to accept it. It's this beautiful, self-reinforcing loop that's been building on itself for over 60 years. Okay, so the network is massive. We get it. But let's get down to the nitty-gritty. We're going to walk through a simple example that we can all relate to. You're at a store and you buy something for exactly $100. You tap your card, you hear that little beep, and you walk away. To you, you just paid $100. But here's the thing. The merchant doesn't actually get the full $100. So, what gives? Where does the rest of it go, and what in the world is happening in those few milliseconds after you tap? In less time than it takes to blink, this incredible financial dance takes place. A request zips from the store's little terminal all the way to their bank, then it hits the Visa or Mastercard network, then it shoots over to your bank. Your bank quickly checks if you're good for the money, runs a lightning-fast fraud score, and sends an okay all the way back down the line. It's only after all that, usually a day or two later, that the actual money moves between the banks. And all of that, the whole round trip, happens in like less than a second. It's wild. All right, so for all that work, who's getting paid? That fee the merchant pays is called the merchant discount rate. So on our $100 purchase, let's say the merchant pays a fee of $275. That means they only see $97.25. Now, you might think Visa and Mastercard get all that, but nope. The biggest piece of that pie, about $2, goes right back to your bank, Chase, Citi, whoever issued your card. The merchant's bank gets about 50 cents. And Visa or Mastercard themselves, they get the smallest piece of the action. We're talking just about 25 cents on your $100 purchase. Now, look, taking a tiny slice of trillions of transactions is, well, a pretty fantastic business model. But if you think that's the whole story, you're missing what's arguably the most exciting part of their business today. We're talking about a hidden growth engine that is totally transforming these payment giants. So yeah, the core business, all those swipe fees, it's growing at a nice, healthy 12%. That's great. But look at this. Their value-added services are growing at a whopping 26%. That's more than double. This is the real growth story that has investors paying very close attention. The swipe fees are the foundation, but these services are the skyscraper they're building right on top. I mean, check this out. Just a few years back, these services were maybe a third of their revenue. But now, they're on track to be nearly half of Mastercard's entire business. So what this really means is they're shifting from being just a simple toll booth on the economy to something more like a high-growth tech company focused on data and security. So what in the world are these value-added services? Well, think of it this way. The payment network is the plumbing that moves the money. The services business is the intelligence that uses the data flowing through that plumbing to solve all sorts of other problems. We're talking about using sophisticated AI to stop fraud before it even happens, analyzing data to help stores sell more stuff, and running loyalty programs to keep customers coming back. Okay, let me give you a really cool, real-world example of this. Mastercard now owns a company that McDonald's uses for its smart drive-thru. This system looks at things like the weather, the time of day, even how busy the restaurant is, to change the menu in real time. So if you pull up and it's a cold, rainy morning, boom, the menu is automatically going to highlight a hot coffee for you. It's all about using data to nudge you into buying a little bit more, and it works.
So let's recap. You've got this incredibly stable, dominant core business, plus this super high growth services arm bolted on top. You can start to see why Wall Street has been in love with these companies for, well, decades. Let's just quickly peek at the numbers that make this business model so darn powerful.
Okay, just look at this number. Visa's net profit margin is around 54%. Let that sink in for a second. For every single dollar that comes in the door, 54 cents is pure profit. That is just staggering. It's because they have this incredible business model where they don't really have to build new factories or stores. The banks and merchants do all the heavy lifting for them. They just get to sit right in the middle of it all and collect their fee.
And here's where it gets really interesting for investors right now. The price. You see, historically, these stocks have been expensive. You had to pay a premium for this kind of quality. We're talking over 30 times what they earn. But right now, because of all these fears about regulation and competition, they're actually trading at a pretty big discount to where they've been over the last 5 years. The market is basically saying it sees trouble ahead.
And that, of course, brings us to the big question. Are all those fears actually justified? Can this incredible duopoly really be disrupted? Let's take a look.
All right, let's break down the biggest threats on the horizon. Number one, and this is the big one, is regulation. Number two is that big retailers are getting more power to steer you towards cheaper payment options. Then you've got new, low-cost government payment systems like FedNow trying to compete. You've got the rising cost of fighting super smart AI fraud. And of course, you have crypto and stablecoins trying to build a whole new system. But let's zoom in on that number one threat because it's the one that could cause the most damage, and it's happening right now. See, right now if you have a Visa card from your bank, the merchant has to process it on Visa's network. This new law, the Credit Card Competition Act, would basically force the banks to add a second, cheaper network option onto that same card. That would give merchants a choice for the very first time, and it's a direct shot at their pricing power.
So that sounds pretty scary, right? How do they fight back? Well, their number one defense is still that ridiculously powerful network effect we talked about at the beginning. You just can't snap your fingers and replicate a global system of trust that's taken 6 decades to build. It's an incredible moat around their business.
And look, they're not just sitting on their hands hoping for the best. They are playing chess here. They have this playbook. Instead of fighting new tech, they absorb it. Those fintechs that were supposed to kill them, now they're partners. Those new government rails, they're weaving them into their own network of networks. And crypto? Please, Visa's already using stablecoins on networks like Solana to settle payments. They co-opt instead of compete.
So, it all comes down to this. Are these companies the ultimate invincible toll roads on the global economy, so deeply embedded that they're almost impossible to displace? Or are they actually vulnerable giants, with cracks starting to form in their foundations? The answer is going to shape the future of how we all buy things for years to come. And of course, just a reminder, this is not financial advice. It's just for informational purposes. Always make sure to do your own due diligence before making any kind of investment decision. And that's our deep dive for today. Hopefully the next time you tap your card, you'll have a whole new appreciation for that invisible machine working behind the scenes. Thanks for joining us on Talking Business as usual.